on X-Men.
The podcast that looks back on X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. You can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Other shows on the network include 3 Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say 3 nice things about a movie with a bad and often earned reputation.
I just listened to the one there you did, the Star Wars.
Phantom Menace.
And everyone just liked the movie.
Except for me.
It was disgusting.
I thought I cast it right. I thought Kendra was the one who liked it.
Yeah.
And Christian and I would be on the other end.
No,
I was shocked, betrayed even. Mm-hmm. There's Is It Classic, Does It Rock, where we pick a band or artist and go through their discography, album by album, track by track. Radio 64, Video Game Music Remix Radio. And 9021, Here We Go, a 90210 rewatch podcast.
Can I tell you my favorite part of that show?
The 90210 rewatch? Yeah.
It's the very, very end where they race each other to say, Here we go.
90210, Here we go! Yeah. I don't know why that became a thing.
I don't know.
I can't even remember the first time it was a thing.
Oh, I love it.
Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X. And please rate, subscribe, and share this show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Eric Mickles, known online as Dust vs. Tweak, and with me is my co-host...
Hilary Gunning!
Or are we?
Ooh,
Mystique!
It's Mystique!
Today we're spotlighting Mystique. She's a changeling.
Yeah,
so that's...
She changes her shape, so you can't trust that we're...
Like we've done before with character spotlights, we're gonna talk about her history in the comics, and then talk about her appearances in cartoons and movies and video games and that sort of thing.
That's where I come in.
Yeah, that's where Hilary comes in. Now she's here to be like, what? Gross.
Wait.
Yeah. Mystique's is not as rock and roll as Cyclops' life was.
Okay. You know what's funny about the Cyclops thing?
What?
After we did that podcast, I learned more insane things about Cyclops.
I know, they just keep coming. And also, if anybody cares, one, I don't know as much about Mystique, and there's some comics I haven't read, so I know about them. And two, this is all going up to like right before the Age of X-Man, House of X, Powers of X stuff.
Okay, so we're not crossing over into that.
Because I haven't read that stuff yet. I haven't read the House of X, Powers of X.
You haven't read those things.
But I just ordered the hard copy, the hardcover for the library.
Oh, yeah.
That I work at. And then I also have to... Age of X-Man is almost done on the Marvel Unlimited app.
So any minute now.
Any minute now, we can cover that.
Caught up.
Yep.
Luckily, we're doing it now.
But that's fine. You listen to this and then you read those.
Yeah.
Easy catch up. All right, so Mystique, she first appeared in Ms. Marvel number 16. And she was created by Chris Claremont and David Cockrum in May 1978. It's getting further and further away. The 70s.
The 70s.
You remember those?
Yes, that is how time works.
You're a Ms. Marvel fan.
I don't remember the 70s. How old do you think I am?
You're my age, so. But you're a Ms. Marvel fan. Do you remember reading this? Ms. Marvel 16 and 17?
Oh boy, that's a really good question. It's possible that I have, but I don't remember.
I realized it was a mistake to start off with, do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I haven't had time to look back at Goodreads or ask my husband.
But that means you have read it, though.
Yeah.
Because this is her early 70s stuff.
Oh, yeah. I read that. Yes, I have.
So you've read her first appearances in 16 and 17, and then she shows up again in, like, 25 and whatnot. Mm-hmm. She's otherwise known as Raven Darkholme.
Now, how early does that come out, that she has, like, a name?
I think it's pretty early.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the first time where I read it and where I just looked it up as a kid.
I think it's so funny because her name is, or like her like mutant name is Mystique.
Uh-huh.
And then her regular name
is Raven Darkholme.
Is still so
if she was just Raven.
Melodramatic.
Yeah.
Raven Darkholme. She sounds like a Dark Shadows character.
Yeah.
Burke Devlin.
Raven Darkholme.
Raven Darkholme.
Yeah, it works.
It's perfect.
Also, her age is unknown. Mm-hmm. Unlike Wolverine, who through that story Origin has been given like a date, like a year. All we know is that Mystique's possibly around since the dawn of the 20th century.
Yeah.
So that still makes her younger than Wolverine? Because he's like the 1800s, the end of the 1800s or something. I can't remember when Origin was.
It's interesting what they do with these kinds of mutants, how when they have like the like cellular level weirdness, they always have them be from way before mutants really were like mainstream.
I can't remember either if that was like originally at the beginning with Claremont. Like she can be as old as time.
Yeah. It just depending on how exactly her power works, that kind of makes sense.
So some things that happened that were retconned into her life after she was introduced in the comics. She met Sabretooth on a mission, and the two became lovers.
Ew.
Yeah, that definitely seems like she could do better. I never understand why.
She's slumming it.
I never understand why she slums it with Sabretooth, because, like, she's gotten with him again later. It's just kind of strange.
He's such a thug.
And he's always just, like, he likes eating gross meat.
I thought you were going to say people.
He does. I mean, he's always, like, licking blood off his hands.
Ew.
He's always, like, talking about having eaten people, and it's just like, is that what you want, Mystique?
Well, I mean, sometimes they make her pretty brutal.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
It just seems like she might be... I mean, she's not Catwoman level, like, high to do. It just always seems...
High to do is not a phrase.
That's not. It just seems like she'd be like, can you not eat that person?
Here's a random thought about this.
Uh-huh.
Just utter speculation. She doesn't... Like, as we were talking about it, I was trying to think of other villains that she might go to, but then I sort of feel like she wouldn't really want like a mastermind. She wouldn't really want, I think, Magneto.
Yeah, that's just
there might be something about the fact that Sabretooth is beneath her that she likes, because then she can just sort of control the whole thing.
And it might just be one of those things like, well, now I can be as brutal as I want to be.
Yeah.
Because who cares?
Yeah.
What does Sabretooth care? Yeah, it's strange.
This has been Mystique's love life.
Not yet. So Graydon Creed, we haven't got to... He shows up in the second season of the cartoon. But you probably... The Friends of Humanity?
A baby with him?
With Sabretooth? Yeah. Graydon Creed.
Why is she always having babies?
Just 2. This is the first one that we know of. Do you know who I'm talking about when I talk about Graydon Creed? Do you remember the Friends of Humanity in season 2 of X-Men?
Yeah.
You remember the guy who, like, captures Jubilee and everything and has that, like, the voice of the scruggy guy from Care Bears? Yes. That's Graydon Creed.
Yeah, I'm with you now.
Okay.
The Care Bears.
Yeah, remember the Care Bears and the little fuzz guy that hung out with the... No, there was the Dark Heart or No Heart or whatever he was called. The big wizard guy who hated the Care Bears. After the cousins.
I don't remember.
So after that time... where with Sabretooth, she was continuing to be under the guise of other aliases, and she was married to a baron at the time. And the baron wanted a child.
I guess she is pretty high to do.
The baron wanted a child, but it turned out he couldn't do it. But he didn't know that. This was at a time when you could just blame it on the woman.
Very intimate stuff to be getting in
a
comic book.
Well, so, this showed up later. This was under the writing of Chuck Austin.
Did it have scenes where they're, like, in the office with a doctor, and they're like, listen, we don't want to place blame.
Right. No.
This is not about your masculinity.
So the Baron is like, she knows that if she doesn't get a kid, she's out. So she starts having affairs and sleeping around with the staff.
Wow.
And she ends up sleeping with Azazel.
Who is essentially the devil.
Who's essentially claims to be the devil.
Okay.
He's just one of those, false kings. Look, the point is he's lying. He's not really the devil.
Oh, he's not really
the devil.
Okay.
And then she has to kill the Baron, because the Baron's like, if it's mine, great. If it's not, I'll kill you. So she's like, all right, well, you're dead.
Great.
That resulted in Nightcrawler.
So
Azazel is
the Baron probably would have known.
At the beginning, yeah.
That it wasn't his.
Yeah, probably something would have happened.
Okay.
Oh, I should also say, she abandoned Graydon Creed, though it suggested at times that maybe she paid attention to him and took care of him, and then stopped
from a distance.
When she found out just like provided money or stuff. But when she found out he wasn't a mutant, she was like, well, that's a bummer, and then left. Nightcrawler's parentage with Mystique was always hinted at and then confirmed. The whole scene of like her having this child and then throwing like the baby off a cliff was added by Chuck Austin, who is not known as a good X-Men writer, but Nightcrawler teleported and was safe, and then was adopted and raised. Also,
as a Catholic.
No, he became a Catholic later.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do a Nightcrawler spotlight.
She adopted Rogue when she was 4. When Rogue was 4. Mystique wasn't 4.
Was older than 4 when she adopted.
Which seems so much younger than what I always thought it was. I always pictured like a teenage Rogue. And I think that's because that's what the cartoon shows.
Yeah, that's what the cartoon does. And then that's sort of like where their whole thing happens. Like, it doesn't really matter how she was when she was a kid. But when she's a teen, then there's the conflict and stuff. Yeah. So I think that's like the interesting stuff. Which
makes me confused about the whole Cody stuff. Because I always thought she ran away because of Cody in the comics. Shows what I know. I haven't read Rogue's like 90s miniseries, which apparently isn't great.
I think I have read that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember, so I'm not any use to you.
All right. We'll talk about that when we get to a Nightcrawler and a Rogue episode.
We're definitely doing a Rogue episode.
Anyways, all that's to say is that Raven is technically the mother of Graydon Creed, Nightcrawler, and Rogue.
That's so interesting. I wonder what about her made the writers so interested in her as, like, a mom.
Longevity. I don't know. You're right. It is strange because there are plenty of, like, female villains in the X-Men universe.
Yeah. I guess it's just, like, if she was the mother of one of them, then it wouldn't really be notable, but like they just keep throwing kids at her.
I think that's it, though. I think that's it.
Just the three from completely different parentages.
Also, so I'm not sure when that started, but she started a partnership / love relationship with Destiny. The one with the mask who can see the future.
Okay.
Old woman with she covers her eyes a lot of times. You know you've seen Destiny.
Okay.
But Chris Claremont only ever was able to, like, really obviously hint at their relationship, but he left before he could make it, like, official that they were a couple. But everybody took it as it's official, and now it is. But Destiny died. We'll get into that. Going through her comics, now that she's appeared in the comics, having done all this other stuff off panel. The first time she appears, pretty sure outside of the Ms. Marvel things, it's the first time she appears in the X-Men comics. It's during the Days of Future Past. Because she's put together a new Brotherhood, which is the Brotherhood of mutants that I recognize.
Right.
For the most part. Like, if you say Brotherhood of Mutants, Avalanche, Pyro, Blob, Mystique.
Yeah. Well, that's who it is in Evolution.
Pretty much. They bring Richter in. Right? No, it's Avalanche. It is Avalanche, yeah. So, yeah, that's the team, her and Destiny and those mooks. And their job, their plan is to kill Senator Kelly. The Days of Future Past is the X-Men need to stop her from killing Senator Kelly, lest Days of Future Past comes to fruition.
Okay. It seems really late for her to be emerging.
That's like 82, so she was introduced in 78, so she's in the comics for about 4 years.
I guess she feels so integral to the X-Men that it seems like she would have been.
Well, it's kind of like how Sabretooth appeared in Iron Fist. And then took forever to show up in the X-Men comics proper.
Just kind of live in the world.
The X-Men stopped them. Though maybe they don't really stop the Days of Future Past. I don't know. Maybe they did. That's where Mystique's like, or Nightcrawler's like, "Mein Gott, your skin is blue," and
must be related.
Yeah, and she's like, "Ask your mother." And then turns out she's the mother.
She's the mother.
She's the mother. All right, so the next like big thing is Avengers Annual number 10, which I'm sure you've read because that's a Ms. Marvel storyline where she wakes up having. Ms. Marvel went off with like a guy. She was like being mind controlled and went off and had a baby.
I hate that.
Yeah, everybody does. And the Avengers is like, "Bye! Here's a present. Let's make booties!"
Congratulations.
So between then and Avengers Annual number 10, Mystique creates a situation for Rogue to steal all of Ms. Marvel's powers. And then they break out the Brotherhood of Mutants at this big prison and have this huge fight with the Avengers, which is a pretty epic fight. I've read that issue a couple of times. Maybe just twice, but it was a while ago.
You are such a nerd.
Shut up! And then she starts hanging around the Pentagon in the government, because she's been just slowly rising through the ranks in the government. But Carol, Ms. Marvel, who I think she's just going as Carol Danvers at that point, she doesn't have her powers, her and Wolverine. Basically what happens is Senator Kelly's threatening to start rounding up mutants and doing, the Mutant Registration Act and all that. And the X-Men are like, "Oh no! Xavier used to work for the FBI. They probably have files on us." So Kitty Pryde suggests uploading a virus into the computer to take care of that.
Wow.
So they go to do that, but they run into Rogue and Mystique in the process and have a big fight. Carol beats Mystique with no powers.
Because she's awesome.
Yeah. That was Uncanny X-Men 158. Rogue steals Storm's powers and is like, "I can't control them!" And then they throw Rogue away with a giant cyclone.
That she couldn't control?
Yeah. No, she can't control her powers, but then Storm gets her powers back and she creates a cyclone, throws Rogue off in the distance. So after that, Rogue ends up joining the X-Men. She ends up going to Xavier and asking him to help her control her powers, give up her life of crime, having worked with the Brotherhood and Mystique. And Mystique kind of thinks that it must be a trick or Xavier's using his mind control, so she attacks them. And then Rogue's like, "No, it's really me." And Mystique has to say goodbye.
She's like,
she's
my
sad
daughter.
about it. Yeah. She does. She has pretty strong affections for Rogue. Rogue seems to be the one she has the most affections for.
And she's not the blood.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every now and then they'll write this affectionate moment for her in Nightcrawler, but I think it really is just that she raised Rogue.
Yeah,
whereas
she's the only one that she had like a real relationship with.
Her and Destiny raised Rogue. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Boy, when did this happen? So Cyclops and crew, remember during the Cyclops thing, they started X Factor.
Yeah.
Which was this government, they were going to be hunting mutants.
But they're actually helping them.
Helping mutants. Around the same time, Mystique offers the Brotherhood of Mutants to become a government a government squad as well, in exchange for pardons for all the crimes they've committed.
Okay.
And
would it be funny if the government was like,
no,
that's fine.
Nope, they do it though, and they're called
Thanks
Freedom
for the
Force.
offer.
And Freedom Force, which is basically the Brotherhood of Mutants, they fight the X Factor quite a bit, and they fight the X-Men during the whole Fall of Mutants thing, because they're all outlaws. And so it lasts for a long time. Yeah. Mystique and her Freedom Force, that Mystique is just working for the government. In retrospect, it's really weird to like go back to those comics and just see her as the law.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because we'll probably mention later, but I've read the Mystique like standalone thing where she's a spy, and I've been thinking this whole time that it's like weird that she's a spy, but that seems like it's just kind of getting back to
it's just roots. Her thing. Yeah, she's always just like hiding out somewhere else, doing her thing. So so Freedom Force is the government's Brotherhood of Mutants, messing with the X-Men and everything. There's a big fight on Muir Island where the Reavers are attacking, and Freedom Force is there, and they have a big fight. And in the process, Legion, who is Professor Xavier's son with the big hair, Legion kills Destiny.
Destiny is there fighting?
Yeah, Destiny fights. Sometimes she has like a little dart gun.
Oh, okay.
So she's the one who actually shot at Senator Kelly and missed.
Well, good for her.
Destiny is there. Forge is there. A bunch of different mutants. This is where the X-Men are all split up and everything. Destiny, right before she dies, she tells Forge that her and Mystique have a linked future. But then she's killed by Legion. Legion at this time is under his Jack persona, who's like doing a lot of bad things. And also, I'm not entirely sure if it's supposed to be insinuated that Shadow King is also manipulating Legion a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, because he's been manipulating everybody on Muir Island. The point is, Legion is technically not supposed to be his full self at the time, David. So, but he does. He kills Destiny, and Destiny knows it's going to happen. And Mystique is PO'd, and it really messes her up. When the X-Men finally get back together and they form up after having been in space and all apart and everything, she kind of hangs out with the X-Men for a little bit, and then she kind of briefly goes insane. Like talking, like the kind of insane in comics where they're like, "But Dad, I'll be late for dance recital." And it's just... Also at the time, Forge proposed to Storm, because they had a relationship for a while.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't really working out. And Forge proposes. Storm doesn't give him an answer right away, and he's like, "Oh, she doesn't really love me." So then he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna try to help Mystique, and we're out of here. We're leaving." And it turns out Storm was gonna say yes.
Oh, she just had given her a chance.
I know. Instead, Forge and Mystique leave. Forge and Mystique Forge joins X Factor. So this is like X Factor's third incarnation.
Okay.
There's X Factor with the original 5 X-Men. There's Peter David's X Factor team, which is like Multiple Man, Quicksilver, Havoc, Polaris, Wolfsbane, Strong Guy.
Strong Guy?
I could stop at any time.
Is his name Strong Guy?
Yeah, Strong Guy, Guido. His real name is Guido.
Okay.
But he's Strong Guy.
Strong Guy. I thought you were just using that as like a placeholder.
No, it's just Strong Guy. And then there's the era where it becomes like a government sanction team. Again. So this is a new version of the government having mutants. And Mystique ends up joining this group as well, though she's forced to join them. They put some devices in her so that they know where she is, and I think she's nanite controlled, so that she can't shapeshift into anybody working in X Factor, including Valerie Cooper.
Creepy.
So that she can still use her powers, but she can't suddenly be like, she can't be Forge.
So she's like, "I will be Forge," and then the nanites are like,
they caught her thinking that she was trying to blow up a dam. But as it turns out, she was stopping the dam from being blown up because the government wanted it to blow up so they could blame it on mutants.
Oh my word.
And so they also have Sabretooth on the team to maybe take care of her if she finds out the truth. No, I don't think they hook up again here. because at a certain point, because he's there as like a failsafe to take care of mutants.
Okay. I wish that the listeners could see our faces
when we talk about them hooking up.
About them.
I just imagine him like covered in mutton the whole time.
Mutton.
Yeah, mutton and like deer carcasses.
Ew.
I just imagine his blanket's
What is the
deer carcass.
circumstance?
Not like tanned deer carcass either.
Oh,
like he just
man.
hunted a deer. He's like, this is my blanket tonight.
Ew.
Who wants to come home with Sabretooth?
That's worse than I was imagining. I did not imagine there being meat involved.
Yes. And during this time, Mystique and Forge start a relationship.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like if Forge is rebounding. I mean, he is.
He's
definitely rebounding. Kind of insinuated Forge kind of thinks she never really cared for him. She kind of argues that maybe she did.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he was just being used.
Well, Mystique is basically a sociopath, isn't
Yeah,
she?
I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly Mystique was like, hey, I was using you. It's like,
Yeah,
that makes sense. That tracks with everything I know about
Yeah.
you. Your entire life. Tried to commit assassinations. You have committed assassinations. So at one point, her son, Graydon Creed,
The first one.
the first son, as he's known by her oldest, Graydon Creed had one of Destiny's children. Okay, not Destiny's Child, the band. That should be so Destiny.
This is before them.
All right, Destiny's real name is Irene. Let's call her Irene, so we don't have to talk
Irene.
about Irene's child, and then you're like, oh, you
You
mean
don't
with
want to
Beyonce?
just keep saying Destiny's Child
That's
over and over.
Destiny, at one point when Mystique and her weren't together, like had kids, went off and met other people and had kids. Graydon found one of them and had his Friends of Humanity beat the living crap out of them. And that made Mystique real mad.
What's he got against Destiny's Child? I'm not
She doesn't like
go.
that they broke up.
I'm not letting
and
it
that
go.
she thinks that I don't know the other two's name. I only know Beyonce.
Oh, yeah, that's
No.
a fail.
So she stopped herself from killing him. She was going to kill him.
But she's like, no, don't do it. Self.
She stopped herself from killing him because she found out Graydon's backers wanted her to kill him so that he would become a martyr.
Yeah.
Because at this time he's like rising up and he had announced that he was running for president on an anti-mutant campaign.
Cool.
So if she kills him, suddenly they were like, look at that! Mutants are wrong!
Yeah.
She escapes this X-Factor group during Operation Zero Tolerance, which is where all the Prime Sentinels or Sentinel Primes pop out. It's regular humans with the Sentinel pieces in them just waiting to emerge.
Okay.
Sabretooth is sent after them and everything, but she stops Sabretooth and gets out. Gets out of Dodge. And then Graydon Creed is assassinated, and we don't know who killed him.
Mystery.
But it turns out it was her!
What?
She killed her son through time travel!
Time travel.
In X-Men Forever, Volume 1, not X-Men Forever, the series that Chris Claremont did writing like he had never left the X-Men. This was a different X-Men Forever, which I think was supposed to be more akin to Avengers Forever because it had a bunch of X-Men doing time paradox things, including Mystique killing Graydon.
Killing her son.
I haven't read that because I didn't even know it existed. So she killed her son. She might be going a bit crazy at this time. Again. This will be the second time that we know she's going a bit wacky. What does she do during this time? She is responsible for the death of Moira McTaggart.
So she didn't kill her, but she's responsible for her death?
I guess she killed her. I was leading up to it. So Mystique formed a new brotherhood. She formed a new brotherhood with some classic members and some new members, and they attempted to assassinate Senator Kelly again.
Kelly just keeps coming back.
Yeah, at this time, he's still anti-mutant, but Pyro saves him. But Pyro's dying from the legacy virus at the time, and him dying to save Kelly convinces Kelly to stop hating mutants, or at least running on a campaign of hating mutants.
Cool.
In the process, her and Sabretooth go to Muir Island. Yes, they injure Moira McTaggart, who dies from those injuries. So she is responsible for the deaths.
All right.
Basically, her goal here was that she wanted to create a version of the legacy virus that kills humans and not mutants.
Ouch.
But they stop her. And she goes to jail, but she breaks out. And Banshee, who's having a hard time dealing with Moira's death, has started a group called X-Corps, which is more like a paramilitary mutant group.
Okay.
And Mystique slits his throat. He doesn't die.
That's dark.
He doesn't die, but he loses his power, which is how he dies later in the Deadly Genesis.
So she's also responsible for his death.
Because that's where we found out about Vulcan, that series. So there's an airplane that's going to explode. Banshee tries to stop it, but his powers don't work. He dies.
Dead.
And that's Mystique's fault, technically. This is the stuff you remember. She's working for Professor Xavier as his James Bond. As her, she's basically his 007 going sent on these secret agent missions that only she can handle. This was originally written by Brian K. Vaughan when he was still writing like superhero comics for Marvel and stuff. It was really clever because you had Xavier as M, her as 07, and then you had Forge is her Q.
Yeah.
But then that also plays on the fact that Forge and her have like a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that she is perfect for that role of espionage and shapeshifting.
She's made for it.
There's 2 volumes. There's like 2 big volumes of it. There's the Brian K. Vaughan Ultimate Collection. And then a second writer came on and wrote like another 13 issues. Sean McKeever. The second volume's not so good. The first volume is better. The first half of this Mystique series is better.
I'm trying to... I think I've read both of them.
Yeah. The first half just kind of nails the subject matter and the concept a lot better. It kind of seems like Sean McKeever didn't really know
exactly what he was doing.
Brian K. Vaughan could be both very big, but he can also be kind of subtle with moments.
Yeah.
That's almost like the only trade that you can just be like, here's a good Mystique run.
Mystique.
So I would definitely... if somebody's looking, definitely read the Brian K. Vaughan stuff.
I really liked them. I rated them really high.
I mean, it lasted for like 26 issues, so that's, almost 2 years, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That was her only solo series, and it kind of fit for her character, because she would go on these missions, but she would still be able to do things that were very Mystique. It wasn't like Mystique's trying to be a hero now.
Yeah.
She's just...
well, it's covert, it's underhanded, it's...
I remember one issue, some guy had like surprised her. She's like, I always thought humans were terrible. And then he like tries to kill her. He's like, oh, okay, I was right. And then, but yeah, that was a fun series. It was too bad. I don't know why Brian K. Vaughan stopped writing it. I know he, later on he just went on to do his own individual things. She joins the X-Men for a bit, which is weird because I've talked about like damaged goods characters when they go back, it's like, oh, I can't trust the hero. But in this situation, it's like, I don't know why the X-Men would let her on the team again. She's already been there. She's tried to kill... She's assassinated. She's tried to kill them. She's tried to kill Senator Kelly multiple times. She killed her own son. She killed Moira McTaggart. How do you... Same thing with Sabretooth, who's been back. And how do you just like... No, come in. I mean, I guess it's the mutant solidarity.
I guess, but this kind of a character, I feel like it just makes more sense to like... have there be a situation where they all have to suck it up and work together.
Yeah.
Like the idea of having her on the
Don't give
team.
her a room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems very extreme.
She hooks up with Iceman during this time. Really? Well, she does it for betrayal reasons.
Okay. For the purposes
but it just seems like you know what to expect.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
There has to be like other ways, X-Men, is all I'm saying. You don't have to let everybody... It doesn't have to be a rotating door. Because Mystique, she's one... Like, Magneto is always one of those characters who's like, oh, he's a good guy doing bad things, or he's a bad guy doing good things. Mystique is always just... She's just so brutal and clinical about these things that I've never really gotten the vibe that Mystique could be a superhero.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like she's misguided.
Yeah,
she
she's
seems
not,
like she knows exactly what she's doing and who she is. And
she was never led astray by a mentor who taught her the ways of evil or something. She's just
bad.
Yeah.
Which is cool because you don't get a lot of that.
It's one of her like strengths as a character that makes her interesting. It's just I'm just saying to the X-Men, stop giving her the keys.
She's like a bad person.
Yeah. Yeah, so she joins the X-Men for a bit. She hooks up with Iceman, but then it turns out she was working with the Marauders, and that she's out to get the Messiah Complex baby, who turns out to be Hope.
Who could ever have anticipated?
I know. But she betrays the Marauders and Sinister, who the Marauders are working for, because Mr. Sinister is sending the Marauders out to get the baby, who was the first mutant baby born after M-Day, and so it's this whole thing. But she betrays them in order to help Rogue, because Rogue is under a virus at this time.
So she's going to cure her.
Rogue is comatose. She has a virus. Mystique takes the baby and presses it up against Rogue, and the baby removes the virus and all of the personas that Rogue had absorbed over the years.
Ooh. So now the baby has them, or they're gone?
They're gone.
Okay.
And then she presses Sinister's face right up against Rogue and takes care of him. Or is it the baby? I haven't read Messiah Complex in a while. The point is, she betrayed a bunch of people to help Rogue, but when Rogue wakes up, she's like disgusted with Mystique, because Mystique was willing to sacrifice a baby. Because Mystique didn't know the baby was going to live. And so she's like, get out of here, Mystique. Get gone. She's out. But because of all the betrayals and because Professor Xavier is killed in the process, Wolverine chases after her, and they have a big old fight in the desert, and we find out that they were once lovers!
Wow.
And they also betrayed each other.
Those two get around.
It's like I think it's during like the Prohibition days. What is that, the 20s?
Yeah.
All right, so it's the 20s. They're in America in the 20s, and they hook up, and they also... I think Wolverine's the one who betrays first.
Okay.
And then Mystique's mad at him, called him self-righteous and all this stuff. It's called Wolverine Get Mystique. Read it if you don't mind a lot of TNA. Specifically, Mystique is naked the entire last issue. She's covered in shadow, but it's very exploitative. Huh. But Mystique kind of just calls Wolverine out as a hypocrite and self-righteous the entire time, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, it was when I was reading that issue that I just kind of understood just like the irredeemable nature of Mystique and how she sees like the whole world and the bitterness in her as well.
Yeah.
Because, like, reading that and just hearing her, like, call the X-Men all these self... It's like, oh, right. It's not like... She is the hero of her story, but she also knows she's not the hero.
Right.
Which I was just kind of like, now I think I finally, like, just understand. Mystique knows that she's a bad guy, and she's okay with that.
Yeah.
So at this time, the X-Men are traveling to San Francisco and all that. She joins Norman Osborn's Dark X-Men, which... with nothing. It was a nothing thing. She's hunted by Wolverine again. This time, so Wolverine didn't kill her. He left her for dead. But this time, he's back from hell because he was sent to hell. And now he's back.
People go to hell sometimes.
Wolverine did. And now he's out for blood because he knows that Mystique was part of the reason why he was sent to hell. Or was killed, basically. I mean, he's the reason he went to hell.
Is this when, like, didn't Nightcrawler go and, like, get someone out of hell or something like that?
That's Amazing X-Men, where they go and get Nightcrawler out of hell.
Oh, okay.
Or heaven. They bring Nightcrawler back to life, because Azazel is there.
Okay.
They're like the piratey one.
Yeah, the piratey one.
Yeah, that was fun. Amazing X-Men 1 through 6.
All right, so this is a different time.
This is a different time. Wolverine's in hell.
Okay.
No, he was really killed. He was in hell. Sabretooth tried to become, like, the king of hell. Nightcrawler was dead at the time, so he was there. Wolverine does kill her this time.
This time she's dead.
Yep, this time she's dead. But then she's back because she's been... her corpse was auctioned off by Lord Deathstrike, and the Hand bought her and brought her back to life. But apparently, they brought her back to life and upped her powers so now that she can also recreate the scent of the person that she's...
So she can trick Wolverine.
She can trick Wolverine now. And Sabretooth. Anyone who has sense
But
powers.
really Wolverine.
When she's brought back to life, she joins the Hellfire Academy, it's the Hellfire Club, but it's led by, like, kids. They're a weird group. They're just these evil supervillain kids who are, like, the enemies of Wolverine's Jean Grey Institute. Okay. So, like, Wolverine and the X-Men, that 8-volume run, they become a thing, and she's hanging out with them as Sabretooth at times. It's a strange concept, and it doesn't work because it's too silly. Because it's, like, 8-year-olds with billions of dollars, and they're... killing people. I don't know. She also infiltrates S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. She starts a new brotherhood. She sets up shop in Madripoor, the island where Wolverine wears his eye patch and pretends he's somebody else. They're like, wait a second. Are you just Wolverine with an eye patch? After Wolverine died, she was with the Wolverines for a bit. Not the whatever sport the team is.
Team?
No.
Hockey. It's hockey.
Is it hockey? No, she's not on a hockey team. It's where, like, all the Baclawed characters...
This is the second time in this podcast that you've used the word Baclawed.
Is it true?
And I
really?
love it.
Oh, yeah. I said it before. And so it's like, you got Lady Deathstrike, you got Sabretooth and Daken and X-23, and then Mystique. And it just kind of feels like, Mystique's connected to Wolverine.
But, like, they all have claws.
They all have claws.
And she does not have claws.
You're right.
Okay.
But anyway, she's there. It's funny because during that, it's the whole, like, the Marvel Universe is being destroyed permanently because it's the Secret Wars before they, rebooted and everything. And she finds out, she's trying to figure out, Destiny left her clues to do something. And she thinks it's how to bring Destiny back from the dead. And then she finds out it's actually how to bring Wolverine back from the dead because he's a key to saving the universe. And she's like, screw that. I make my own Destiny and doesn't bring Wolverine back. So she's so much about, like, she's in charge. She didn't save the world.
She doesn't save the world.
Yep. So a little after this, during an Uncanny X-Men, Psylocke suggests her shape-shifting is the reason why she's gone insane at times.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Because she's changed her structure so much, she's just messed with the pathways in her brain.
Yeah.
And so maybe Psylocke fixed it, but she's still evil, so what did you fix?
Right.
Because later she becomes the White King of the Hellfire Club. Emma Frost is now the Black King, who is the leader of the Hellfire Club, and Mystique is working with her in the Hellfire Club. So it's like...
Why are they going king? Is it like a...
Well, because in the structure of the Hellfire Club, it's the Black King who's in charge. And so Emma Frost is like, I'm in charge. Yeah, so I don't know. What did you fix, Psylocke? What did you do? And Mystique was like, you had no right to do that. I'm like, well, did it help? Is it nice?
Did it change anything?
Yeah, wouldn't you feel like you could be more effective without going comic book crazy? Because comic books don't have a great run of showing mental illness.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, when Mystique is like pretending she has to go to ballet class, it's like, well, maybe that's not super helpful for your schemes,
Yeah.
Mystique. Though I suppose it should be said that she was probably faking the original insanity with Forge and the whole, I need to go to dance class. That's pretty much where we're caught up to me. So,
Yeah.
House of X on. House of X-Man on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's been in pretty much everything
Yeah.
that has happened with X-Men.
Age of X-Man on.
She's...
And then House of X, Powers of X. Yeah, you're right. She's been
comics,
there.
She's been in the movies. She's been in like every cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that it was late for her to show up, but I mean, the X-Men were still, once Chris Claremont took over with the Uncanny X-Men and the new guys, it was still bi-monthly. So it's actually not like too many issues until she does show up. And I mean, 78 is 75. So I mean, that's 3 years after.
Yeah.
I mean, she shows up pretty much when it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, Days of Future Past on becomes a pretty big deal. That means Nightcrawler was around for a long time without, any connection to Mystique.
No, yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. Mystique has been integral for a pretty long time. And, like, she just always is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Comics, Ultimate X-Men, Mystique's like a non-entity. She's not really in it. When she's in it, she's not really a character. She never really has any motivation. They play on the whole movie version of her, so she's like in love with Magneto. I don't know. It's just, considering how important she is to regular X-Men, she's very not important in Ultimate X-Men.
Okay.
Let's talk about Mystique in other forms of media.
All right.
The cartoons. We haven't gotten to her in the 90s show yet.
No, but she's coming.
She's coming up in our next 90s show episode. Apocalypse and the Cure episode. So she'll be there. She doesn't have a lot to do in the 90s cartoon as far as I can remember. She has some rogue episodes.
Yeah.
She's in the Days of Future Past, but she's in a Nightcrawler episode. I don't know, but she's never played up as important.
She's never like an arc villain.
Yeah, like
She's
Magneto,
she'll
Sinister,
show up, for an episode.
Yeah, Magneto, Sinister, and Apocalypse are very like the big bads of that show. And Mystique is, you're right, it's just very like, oh, this is for her episode. But like, there's never just, outside of Days of Future Past, there doesn't really seem to be, she doesn't have like a lot of agency, I guess, in those shows.
Well, that said, I do think
she's in that Captain Marvel episode.
When she does show up, I think she's good.
Yeah.
I think they don't give her a lot plot-wise. Right. But I think that they do her character well.
She doesn't have like a lot of action moments either or something. So yeah, she's fine when she shows up. She's just kind of, it almost feels like underused in general. But that's made up for, I guess, in X-Men Evolution.
Yeah, she's the big bad, isn't she? In
she's the principal in X-Men Evolution.
Oh, that's right.
In the high school, because they're all high school kids. So
but then she's the one who's like manipulating the kids in the Brotherhood.
Yeah, they know she's Mystique, and then she's the principal.
Yeah, and she's the principal.
It's been a while since I watched X-Men Evolution, but yeah, she was very much like the big bad.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, and that's where she can turn into a bird.
Let's talk about her turning into a bird.
All right, let's talk about Mystique's powers in case you don't know. One, she's blue.
That is her primary power.
You think we would have said that at the beginning.
Her blueness.
Mystique is blue, and she has red hair.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes she wears skulls, either.
These are not related to her
sometimes
powers.
like a little skull in her hair. Sometimes a skull belt.
Little belt thing.
Sometimes they take the belt away.
I
don't know. It's always strange. That's such like a early comic books thing to have like a modern Mystique to have like, I wear skulls, thank you.
She likes skulls.
It's so hot topic of somebody born at the dawn of the 20th century. I don't know. She likes it. Yeah, it's so goth.
It's very goth.
For somebody who's blue.
But her actual power
is that she can shapeshift.
Is her shapeshifting.
And for the most part, she can shapeshift as people.
She shapeshifts as people.
But then as time goes on, it gets kind of loosey-goosey. Sometimes I've seen her shapeshift so her arms are like squid arms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she's not just someone who can look like someone else. She's somebody who can just make her body anything she wants. She becomes like Morph.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And especially when it's things like turning into a bird.
Turning into a bird in evolution.
Where is all of her mass going?
Yeah, I don't understand. I remember reading some excuses of where her mask goes or what happens when she pretends to be somebody bigger.
Well, sure.
But even then there were limits, I think. Like, I remember reading, like, when I was first getting into X-Men, that she couldn't, like, pretend to be Blob. That's too big for her.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's strange. And I remember kind of being, like, annoyed that she was the Statue of Liberty in the movie when I first saw it. I'm like, but really?
Well, at least that's shaped like a person,
It's true, yeah.
But, yeah, that does stretch it a little bit because she looks so artificial.
I give leeway when she has, like, the bone claws, like Wolverine or something.
Yeah, because then he cuts them.
And they're just bone.
Yeah,
and they just hurt, and it hurts her. Yeah,
I like that.
But yes, when she's just suddenly a bird, or when she's like a small child, or something, it always comes across weird.
I don't like it, and it seems like
they make her a bird so much
to
in the show.
not do that.
Yeah,
you know.
Because then the thing is, if she could turn into a bird, why doesn't she turn into a rhino?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
rhino,
why is that the only thing?
It's a bizarre choice that always bothered me with evolution.
Let me tell you what: if she could turn into a bird, she would not be able to fly. Because she would be cramming all of that mass into a small body, and she'd be like a rock.
If anything, she should be lighter and have more hollow bones when she's pretending to be someone bigger.
Yeah.
So, it's a strange,
I hate it.
There's just so many episodes that
in X-Men Evolution, that's where
I remember one where the
hard.
Cyclops and Rogue are on like a snowy mountain lost, and they're dealing with Mystique, and at the end she's like, goodbye!
Yeah,
and she just turns into a bird and flies off the snowy mountain. I do not remember her being in Wolverine and the X-Men, but apparently she's in like 4 episodes.
She is.
I just don't remember her being a big part of that.
I don't really remember what she does, but I remember her being in it.
Yeah.
So she's been in those 3.
Well, however, that Mystique did not leave the impact that 90s and Evolution Mystique did for me. She's not in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been no X-Men cartoon since.
That's it. So she's in everything but the anime.
Yeah. Movies. She's in so many of the movies.
They love her in the movies.
You would think that Mystique is the only character in the X-Men with these movies.
Yeah.
Because she's in the original trilogy.
Yep.
And then she's in every single X-Men movie.
Well, that's really interesting too, because in the first trilogy, which we've talked about, she's just nothing. Like she's hardly a person. And then in the prequels, whatever, they're like
she's nothing
like
but character. Yeah. The thing is, with the original trilogy, she's still like a villain. Yeah. She's still like a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, that's true.
And then in X-Men Evolution, not X-Men Evolution. And so, First Class, okay, we'll talk about it when we get to First Class. But you know, she's hanging out with Xavier. She's pretty much a good guy, but she is seduced by Magneto's evil nature. Not evil nature, but angrier nature. Yeah. Anyway, she goes off with Magneto at the end. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe they were thinking, like, now we'll show how she becomes a villain. Yeah. But that doesn't play out. No. Because in Days of Future Past, she's conflicted. Because she wants to kill Trask. Yeah. She doesn't at the end because she's convinced of otherwise. And then in Apocalypse, she's like I don't want to say freedom fighter, but she's going around helping mutants and bringing them to the mansion to save them. And then in Dark Phoenix, she's just an X-Men. She's an X-Men, yeah. It's just, I don't hate Mystique in those movies, but it's one of those things where like how you talked about Nightcrawler, how they take one thing about the character and that's the only thing from the comics about the character. Yeah. And then so like in those prequel films, she just kind of stops being the Mystique that we know. She does. And I mean, I love those movies. I think they're great. And I do like her within that context. Yeah. But it feels like a real missed opportunity because it seems like the reason that you have her grow up with Xavier is so that you can then flip it and she's evil and he's not. Like, why even have them have that close relationship? Structurally, like plot-wise, why do that if
so you're not going to then have her be the villain? The
point of Days of Future Past is that they have to stop her from killing Trask to stop the Days of Future Past timeline from happening. So I guess that like makes sense that they would stop her. And they make it as like a character thing rather than they defeat her. They stop her from going down this path of evil.
Yeah, she should go down that path.
It's just like afterwards, like, if that was all we saw, I guess that's one thing. But then just to see her leading the X-Men, it just is kind of like, well, that's not really Mystique's jam. There are other characters that could do this role if you wanted.
Right. It just cheapens her journey.
Right. I guess, like, preference-wise then, Mystique in X-Men 2 seems like the most, like, dangerous.
Yeah.
And, like, because she's trying to, like, free Magneto, and she's also, like, finding all this information about Stryker and everything. So she's doing her espionage stuff.
Yeah.
She takes out, like, a room of soldiers all by herself and all this. So, like...
She does things.
And she's cool. And I think Rebecca Romijn has a better dangerous presence about her than Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I believe Rebecca Romijn as Mystique would just kill me and not feel bad about it. And Jennifer Lawrence, I don't know, she's Jennifer Lawrence.
Well,
so,
she's like... She has a certain toughness to her, but she has more humanity.
Yeah.
Just, like, inherent in her portrayal.
And Jennifer Lawrence is too much of a outside persona as well. Like, does the random Joe really know, like, Rebecca Romijn? Whereas, like, most people know. Yeah. So it's just kind of... And also, Rebecca Romijn just seemed fine and game to always be in the makeup. And Jennifer Lawrence is like, no, find as many ways to get me out of makeup as possible. But I think Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique in Days of Future Past is also still a good represent, because you still get to see her doing espionage stuff, working towards killing Trask and whatnot, and she gets, like, the good character moments. I guess, like, those are my two preferred representations of her.
I guess I just really would have liked to see her go evil.
Yeah, there's none of the movies, because she's either a lackey for Magneto, or she's an X-Men gone astray comeback kind of thing. Exactly. She's a prodigal son kind of character.
Yeah. She's never like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
There's no...
I'm going my way.
Mutant terrorist, I'll kill whoever gets in my way kind of situation in the movies. So, yeah, she's one of those characters who's like, I like in the movies, but she's not the comic book Mystique who I like. Video games. Do you have any... video game memories of Mystique?
I've never played her as a video game.
She's in Legends games, but she's somebody you have to fight in the first one and then a non-playable character in the second one. Oh. So she's never on the team.
Okay.
She is a playable character in the Mutant Academy games. She's fun. I think she's voiced by Jennifer Hale, who did her voice later in the 90s cartoon. She's in Next Dimension, the X-Men fighting game Next Dimension. She's pretty cool. She has her gun that shoots a bunch of energy all the time. She's pretty fast. I liked playing her in that. She doesn't use her shape-shifting abilities.
Yeah, that'd be hard to translate into a game. Like, what exactly do you do?
But no, I did. I liked using her in X-Men Next Dimension. She was fun. She was just a really, like, straight-up melee fighting character who also had a rifle. The shot energy blast.
Sure.
She was in the arcade game as well. She wasn't in that Wolverine X2 Wolverine's Revenge, which is not a good game. I did not enjoy playing that, and I played it. But she doesn't show up in that, which is kind of weird because she's a big character in the first two movies.
Yeah, she's kind of a big fighting
And they bring in, like, everybody else, at least cameo-wise. Interesting. And he has, like, his senses in that. Like, you go into sense mode, and you can see people's footprints or senses.
That would
so
be
why
perfect.
wouldn't they
then he'd be like,
follow her? Yeah. Strange. She was in X-Men Destiny, but I've never played it because it's apparently one of the worst games ever. I had an action figure. I had a Mystique action figure at one point.
No longer?
I gave my friend's kid, like, all the action figures. I had a bunch of Marvel Legends action figures that I had bought when I hadn't had the money to buy them. And I kept my Hulk one, but I gave him all the other ones. And then I regret it.
Why would you do that?
Well, because he didn't have any, like, superhero action things. I was in college. I'm like, what am I doing just carrying these around? But then in retrospect, I'm like, I gave him Moon Knight. I gave him Loki. I gave him the Young Avengers.
Terrible.
The fact that I gave away Moon Knight, I had a complete mojo.
Nice. It's a nice thing to do. You couldn't anticipate that you would...
I knew I liked Moon Knight. I guess at that time I was a little bitter on Moon Knight. Anyway, this isn't a Moon Knight pod. Do you want to do a Moon Knight? Previously on Moon Knight?
You know I do.
I guess we should just talk about our thoughts about Mystique then, in general.
Oh, we kind of have, though.
Well, I mean, like, in general.
Let me put it another way.
You're right. We have said that we liked Mystique, but is there, like, specific things you like about Mystique personally?
I guess I like what we've talked about, her just being a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that a lot of times you have villains who are, you're sad for them.
Yeah.
Or, like, you can see why they are the way they are. And, like, those kinds of things, which is valuable.
Right.
That's, like, legit character stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we've, in a lot of ways, gone so far on that in our storytelling that we miss out on just a straight up bad guy.
Yeah, she's not Loki.
Yeah. And she's like, you can see where it comes from. You can see she's like a realistic bad person. I think when they write villains with their like elaborate backstories and like they're just trying to save their daughter or whatever, they're trying to make them real.
Right.
But I think that she manages to give a realistic portrayal of someone who has decided to be bad. So she's not like the devil, or like she's not like some magical. I'm just bad because I'm bad. She's realistic, but she is almost exclusively. She's like a bad person,
right? Yeah,
but like realistically.
Yeah.
So I think that she's a rare type of character who succeeds in that way.
She's not as brutal as Sabretooth, but I mean, writers keep pairing them or at least teaming them up together.
Yeah, well, they have that in common.
Yeah, I like Mystique because she's smart. And she uses her power in a smart way a lot of times, the shape-shifting. Like, you can just never trust anything she's doing because she's always manipulating people with that. She is a bad guy. But she also is still fighting for mutant rights. Yeah. Like, she's still... Because, like, you're right. When you can see where she's coming from, she's blue. And so, like, she could hide, but she's just like, I'm not going to hide.
Yeah.
You know, in X-Men 2, when Nightcrawler's like... Why don't you just pretend to be somebody else the whole time? She's like, we shouldn't have to be. Like, that's pretty much Mystique's mantra through any form of media.
Yeah.
Like, she's just not going to do it. She's going to use her power, you know, for evil, basically, but she's not going to pretend to be someone she's not.
Right.
She is a freedom fighter for mutants, but it kind of goes like mutant rights, but above that is her.
Yeah.
You know, she'll defend mutants and fight for mutant rights, you know, aggressively. She's basically a terrorist, but also she's out for her, number one. So, like, given the choice, if, like, somebody's like, you know, give me that mutant or I'll kill you, she's like, here it is. Yeah. There's that mutant.
And
if she can't get out, everyone else will be sacrificed, and she's going to get out of town.
Yeah. And it's also, like, the way that she is with defending mutants is not the same as...
Magneto.
Like a moral kind of a thing. It feels more like this is the group she's in. So she's gonna make sure they come out on top. She's not like, we should all be equal. We're people too. Like that's not her thing. Like she's just like, screw you guys. Yeah. Mutants are us.
And she's not like, you'll have like Magneto or other villains who are like, oh, why do I have to hurt the X-Men? Why can't they see my way? She's like, yeah, I'll kill the X-Men. Yeah. It's fine. I've tried multiple times. She has no qualms about like burying other mutants to get to these mutant rights. And but she's very much, you know, she's killed her son. She's killed many people. She's just out to do that. She's one of those characters that I like, because Wolverine gets solo a lot of times. It's interesting that they can make her like a Wolverine villain, because she kind of does fit because of his senses, being able to get past that and everything, and because they're both very like physical in terms of their combat and powers and everything.
I've talked about how I like Wolverine and Gambit because they're sort of like peers. She has that same vibe. Yeah. She feels like she's his peer.
Yeah, she couldn't really be like Storm's arch villain, but she kind of fits on that like street level mutant character. So, all right. Anything else about Mystique?
I like her belt.
Her skull belt?
Her skull belt.
All right, well, there you guys go. So, Hilary's Secret Santa present should be a skull belt.
Skull belt.
It's not even a belt with a skull as the buckle. It's all skulls. All skulls. Naked painted blue Mystique, or Mystique with just like the white robe?
I like the white outfit,
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense that like she would, the white robe is part of her power, I guess, that she's not wearing a white robe. Because when she shapeshifts, she's in a suit.
Yeah, that's true. But that is actually a thing I don't prefer about shapeshifters.
That they do their clothes?
I would rather her have to change
clothes. Oh, that doesn't... So much. You have to have a costume, have every X-Men's costume.
I like the challenge of it. I mean, like, physically, I don't really buy the, like...
For the fabric material being, Yeah,
but also I just like there to be a level of, like she's magical, she can change, but also she has to have this practical thing of changing into a costume.
Yeah. She's not the only blue shape-shifting character in the X universe, because the Deadpool's girlfriend, Copycat, Vanessa.
Is she a copycat of the design.
A little. She has white hair. She's blue and
well,
white hair.
In that case.
Yeah. All right. I like Mystique. You like Mystique.
Everyone likes Mystique.
Everyone likes Mystique.
Is there a person who doesn't like Mystique?
It's hard not to like her, I think.
She's just interesting.
I mean, but she's also one of those characters, you're right, in terms of not feeling sad for it, that when I read her, I'm like, don't do it, Mystique. It's just one of those characters who, like, I don't have to question her being a villain, which is sometimes nice. I don't have to be like, oh, but what if you were good?
Yeah.
I could just, you know.
Lets the reader off the hook.
Yeah, that's a relief every now and then. That was Mystique. That's our thoughts on Mystique.
We did it.
And some of Mystique's history in the comics.
We'll have to space out the blue people.
Yeah. We can't do Nightcrawler next.
Yeah.
Or Beast. Or Archangel at times.
Sometimes.
Iceman? Do you count Iceman as blue?
I don't count Iceman as blue.
But he's when he's in ice, he's wearing blue.
That's the shading.
Okay.
It's not
all right,
blue.
Iceman's free then. Maggot, we can't cover Maggot. He's got blue skin.
Otherwise, we would totally.
Apocalypse, he's blue.
Maggot. Oh, Apocalypse.
I'm Dust vs. Tweak everywhere online, apart from other shows on the Radio Meanwhile Network. I'm the co-host of the podcast, The All the Book Show. Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song, which when I listen to, I think blue.
Really?
Yeah, if I had to see...
Do you have synesthesia?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Blue? Really?
Yeah.
I guess I would think yellow.
Yellow? Well, someone's got synesthesia over there.
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. Hey, join us for our next episode as we watch and discuss X-Men First Class.
Yay!
That's the next one.
I love that movie.
That's a great one. I don't think we're going to fight on that one.
No.
We didn't even fight, really,
Not
during Wolverine Origins.
You were very polite.
But yeah, X-Men First Class, that'll be fun. We'll talk more about Mystique.
Even more.
And Beast is in that, too. That's two blue people in one movie. Well, I guess there was a third one.
Oh, man.
X-Men...
The wealth of blue people.
Yeah, X-Men Apocalypse is when they bring back Nightcrawler in the prequels, and then you got 3 of them.
3 blue people.
Yeah. And they kind of Archangel give him like those little blue lines. And Apocalypse! Everybody's blue in Apocalypse!
Blue.
Again, you can find more about the show and those that like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X. Please rate, subscribe, and share the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I don't have a thing to say about Mystique because I did the Cyclops thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Or have you been listening to us? Go. Did you say go Skullbelt?
Go Skullbelt.
All right. Hot topic. Bye, everybody. Go Skullbelt.